What's up? What's up? I'll tell you what's up. Spider Farmer's Supplemental Light Series now at spider-farmer.com. Go check them out, including the Glow R40. Get yourself some supplemental lights, whether it's UVA, UVB. Go check them out. You might not be getting all the spectrum that you need for your plants, but now you can with the Sup series. Go to spider-farmer.com. Use promo code PIGEONS420. You'll save a few dollars off at checkout. You'll get some supplemental lighting, and you will be growing some incredible herb. Use promo code PIGEONS420. spider-farmer.com. Set yourself up right, and you won't be disappointed.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing in the right corner, it's time! Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tea with P, where the T is beer and the P is me and the dreams are free. We are going to spend a little time together, and we're going to talk about all things nudes, culture, science, health, you name it. This is your one-stop shop for it all. Guys, welcome. It's Wednesday, 9 p.m. Central. You're here, we're together, and I am stoked to get into tonight's stories and chat and just see what's going on in the world of Canna. Oh, it feels so good to be live. Boom, and we got everybody in the chat too. A huge shout out to everybody that could pull up. I see Mama Kush. I see Mama Kush virtually. I'm going to be seeing Mama Kush real soon in LA. Oh, baby. Huge shout out to Homegrow, the community. It was great to see you guys doing your thing. Great conversation this evening. Double A is in the house. Double A, good to see you too, friend. 256. What is up, my friend? What is up? Cliff, good to see you. P73. Hello. Welcome, everybody. CLTV's in the house. Is that my boy? ROB CLTV? Huh? Is that you? Huh? I see you. Yes, I do, man. Good to see you, man. And Kindbuds and Dank Nugs is here as well. I've been following her for a while now. Hey, she has some beautiful plants. Certainly does, my friend. Soda Can Gaming. Yo, P. What's up? Good to see you guys. What are you smoking tonight? Goblin 7819. What's up, P? Mrs. P? Mrs. P, what's up?
Learning new things.
Yeah. Yo, huge shout out to the band. They've been doing they thang, mang. And you couldn't hear me anyways. It was dead silent in the echo chamber. Guys, for crying out loud, I told you if you're going to be sitting in the chairs, you got to play some music, man. Archibald, Reg, come on. We've had this conversation many times. You go. Nope, go. Okay, they're gone, Mrs. P. Don't worry about them. Unbelievable. A band that doesn't play music. Jeez, overbearing. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Mrs. P, how are you?
Not bad.
Not bad?
Not bad.
Not bad. She's good. She's good. We got a lot in the news today. It was a crazy one last week. We had the CLTV, we had the CLTV crew out.
Yeah, sure we did.
Yeah, we did. From the Stash was in the house, and it was a wonderful episode. Shout out to everybody that was able to tune in. That was fun. How did you enjoy being on the hot seat?
It was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting. I had spectators while I was producing for the first time, and it was a little stressful.
Spectators. There were spectators.
There were spectators.
It was great. It was great. Yeah, and you did a wonderful job. It was fantastic. Minimal issues. I don't think you'll see a big decrease in pay, but no, you keep it up. You keep it up. We got a great show in store for you guys today, ladies and gentlemen. We got a lot in the nudes. Drama going down in the LBC. You know, Pigeons is going to throw himself into the middle of it. It turns out Zaza and Chad Westport are going to be doing a boxing match. No, they won't. But the little bit of drama in regards to the breeding question. There was a video or a podcast or a clip from the Stash that went viral by a guy named Pigeons420. Posted it yesterday, the video. Posted Zaza's opinion, and I posted Chad's opinion. We're going to be talking about that. Zaza respond to that video. We're going to be diving in more about that later on in the show. We've got an incredible guest tonight as well. Incredible guest. We've got Mr. Chris from Swank Genetics. Very excited to sit down with him. This is a man of a million missions, and I cannot wait to sit down and have a conversation with him. So he's going to be joining us over here on the hot seat shortly, top of the hour. We got stories. We've got cancer causing cannabis. Can you believe it or not? Possible. We're going to be talking. And man, there's so much more. Huge raids and things found where they shouldn't be found. All that and more coming up. But before we do, I want to give a huge shout out to my patrons, man. Yo, huge shout out to you guys. Shout out to my patrons down here, man. If you go to patreon.com/pigeons420, you can find yourself in the inner circle, which can get your name along the bottom. There's only so many spots available. So if you're interested, go check that out. Patreon.com/fromthestash or patreon.com/pigeons420. Support them both. Great guys. But if you want to check out that, some behind the scenes content, old videos, new videos, and things you won't see anywhere else, go to patreon.com/pigeons420. Huge shout out to all you guys for helping me support the show, keeping things real, keeping things live, proving to Mrs. P that we can do this thing over here. Okay? Thank you guys. Appreciate you, man, for turning up. What is everybody smoking on, man? What is everyone smoking on? I want to ask you that. I'm going to be toking on a little bit of Chill Out OG. If you got a little whiskey in your cup, I want to hear about it too. What do you got? You got maybe sipping? Maybe you're not sipping. A little bit of OJ, a little no OJ. I want to hear. Is that Barina? That's my audio technician, engineer, moderator, manager, plus. Welcome in. Ivan, good to see you as well. Rayathorn. Hey, did I see your sister Ray Gun at the Olympics? No relation? I understand. I'm going to be talking here right away. I think it's a nice way to ooze into things, guys. This might be the one-stop shop where you get the nudes and you watch the host enjoy the best of the best homegrown herb there is to be smoked. Do me a favor, guys. Hit that like button if you enjoy these shows. Or if you don't, hit the like down. It's okay. Engagement is important, and I take either way. Huge shout out to Seedsman. If you guys are interested in looking for some quality genetics, you can hit them up, and you can use promo code PIGEONS420. Huge shout out to AC Infinity as well. If you're looking for top-notch equipment in the grow game, check out AC Infinity, Pigeons420, and of course, Spider Farmer, baby. Check out Spider Farmer. If you're looking for some top-notch, top-notch budget-friendly grow lights and equipment, head on over to spiderfarmer.com. Use promo code Pigeons420 and you'll love it. Now look at the shirt. Do you like this one? Me too. Stash Blend, baby. All these epis are helped made possible with the folks over at Stash Blend. Shout out to those guys over there, man, making a premium plant additive that you can put into your plant. You add the base nutrients. Stash Blend's got the rest. Go to stashblend.com and baby, one thing I forgot to mention last week, babe, was the episode of Grower's House. I know you don't have it pulled up, but huge shout out to, or Canna Cribs, I'm sorry. Huge shout out to Canna Cribs. They did a video of a grow in, I really should have thought about this before. You guys in the flock will probably think of it before I do.
Do you want me to pull it?
If you can, but you might have to scrub through to try to find that. But if you can, let's see. If you remember where it was. It wasn't their latest. I think it was like 2 ago. I can't remember. It could take a minute. We watched it.
It was on Canna Cribs?
It was on Canna Cribs. But Stash Blend, and this is no joke. Stash Blend was a part in securing a Grow Cup win or a competitive win for a company, top grown flower in the state or something. Wish I had the facts to sound like I knew what I was talking about, but that's what Mr. Grow is for, man. You guys came here for my cunning linguistics.
Is it the ad that you want to show?
It was, yeah.
I have it right here.
You have it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you put it on the television?
Yeah.
Because, man, this was wicked, and it was an honor to be a part of it. Because This is sweet. This is sweet.
I want sound, obviously.
Yeah, sound helps. Sound helps.
Okay.
I love the way that looks on the screen with the
Right?
had me a little bit worried that I was like, oh my god, frequency.
That's how I knew exactly what you were looking for.
Crazy
as soon as
feet.
I hit play, it went back to the spot where it was.
Oh, sweet. Okay, check this out. This is from Canna Cribs, one of their latest videos.
The grow off competition? It's a simple concept. It's a competition to maximize the cannabinoid and terpene content of a clone of the same mother plant given to all of the competitors. This year's winner in Michigan was Lyra Luxury Cannabis for the highest THC percentage at 31.76% using their proprietary cultivation techniques and additives. One product they used as part of their recipe is Stash Blend, a new, unique cannabis-specific plant additive with a proprietary formula made to maximize your plant's oil production. Introduce your plants to Stash Blend. Link in the description below. And now, back to the show.
Boom! You can't make that up, ladies and gentlemen. You can't make that up. That is so cool, man. Huge shout out to Lyra. I think I said that right. Huge shout out to Lyra for pulling off a dub. That is wicked, man. Huge, huge win, man. I feel honored to be a part of that. I feel honored to be a part of that. That's a win. Man, that is so cool. That is so cool. So, huge shout out to Stash Blend. Man, honestly, that one hits me right here. Where my heart is. Hurts the hardest in the heart. Huge shout out to you guys. Thank you guys for supporting us. Thanks for believing in Stash Blend, guys. Thank you guys, man. If you guys don't know, Stash Blend is, I'm like 1/4 of that product. So that's why I am so enthusiastic about it. And it's so exciting to see it take off. We knew it would. But it's awesome to see that it's actually taken off. So cool, man. So cool. So shout out to you guys. I see you guys, man. And yeah, huge shout out to Nate for being such a great guy. Cheers. Nate's our business partner from Growers House. And he's a great dude, man. Such an innovator. Such a brilliant mind. Cool dude. Cool dude. And he's good looking. So it's like this dude's a total package. Cheers, friends. It's a nice water feature. That's one. I think we need a little waterfall. We need a little 4K waterfall, and I think is what needs to happen there.
Were you looking at me?
No, I was looking at the TV, but I'm just thinking, I see you peeking underneath.
You added so much stuff over.
Yeah, we got a minor upgrade, guys. We put a new monitor into the equation now, and so now there's like 5 monitors over there. It's a mess. It's a mess. But this is TOP, man. Let's, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, dive into the nudes.
Yep.
Canna News. All things culture, science, and health. Your one-stop shop for all things Canna News.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are new here, let me address a couple things. If you are new here, it's my channel and I'll do what I want to. Sorry, that was ignorant. There's been a few comments I've noticed in the comment sections of stirring up drama, pigeons. All you're doing is stirring up drama. The last few months, pigeons, all you've been doing is getting into drama. Let me be very clear about something, folk. I have nothing to do with the drama. I'm just the messenger. I'm the Birdman, okay? I'm the one that's going to put this forward. Someday there'll be a story about me, but until then, I'm going to be the one that does the stories and finds the scoop and brings it to the coop. But the reality is that I have nothing to do with the drama. I feel that this community, I've said this time and time again, I feel that this community has so many phonies that are overshadowing greatness. And I feel like for some reason, and probably lack of awareness, education, and conversation, it continues to go that way. So, with nothing at stake, I'm gonna have a conversation about it. And hashtag Boeing Boys, I guess, is the worst thing to be afraid of. But the reality is I enjoy conversation. I'm not afraid of other opinions. Okay? They don't hurt me whatsoever. Not at all. All right? Martha Stewart said it best. What you eat doesn't make me shit. Okay? She might not have said that. Okay? But what I'm saying is I'm just telling stories. I like to think of this as a common square where we can talk about anything that's brought forward to the table that we're willing to talk about. First Story is a conversation that was handled very well by a few grown men, and I was honored to be a part of it. Bringing the conversation together. Not necessarily in the middle of it. Granted, it happened on From the Stash, but it wasn't me. You know, I heard it, and I wanted to share it. So conversation is important. And I'm not afraid of it. Okay? Are you going to hear that every time now? I'm not afraid.
You're going to get copywritten.
I am. You think? Stop. Guys, today's first stories, I wanted to dive into the breeder versus grower conversation / debate that was started on From the Stash. How could they? If you go to From the Stash over on YouTube, incredible channel. 3 great dudes, incredibly good looking, linguistic, cunning, handsome, just stellar gentlemen. And their opinions, they're always right. I don't know what it is, but they're always right. No, I digress. From the Stash, we had Zaza on. Zaza, as I said in my video, as soon as Zaza said this, I knew I was going to make a video about it because it's just right up my alley in regards to things that can start a good conversation. And as you guys saw the video, Mr. P's got it on the screen here, or you will. You guys seen the video. I posted it yesterday, and it was breeders. Stop testing your genetics. Of course, it's a little extreme, but that's the reality of it. Is it clickbait? Nope. It's click enticing, okay? You got exactly what I wanted you to get out of that video with exactly the title that I gave you. Same reason I titled, Stop Topping Your Plants. Same reason I titled my video, Stop Growing Autoflowers. It's a great way to get people to stop what they're doing and listen to a differing opinion. Because it's in your face, it's an aggressive approach, and I love that. So that's why I titled the video as I did, if you needed a little insight. I simply posted Zaza's clip of him saying that he doesn't send out unfamiliar genetics to testers.
There we go.
This man tests his genetics in-house and puts them through the ringer. I've grown his genetics. I think they're superior. I think they're fantastic. Loved the Dead Ops OG. Spoke for itself. It was incredible. Loved it. I have no attachment to Zaza whatsoever, or Chad Westport for that matter. I just love listening to two passionate people talk about something that they love. And it turns out both of them are really good at talking and having a good conversation. And so Zaza states that he makes sure that he does incredible testing in-house. Did not say, and this is where the opinion or the words kind of get misconstrued, he did not say he does not test his genetics. That's foolish. Of course he tests his genetics. He makes sure that when he sends out his genetics, there's no issue. But better yet, through his own words, says if you have an issue, money back guarantee. I'm going to take care of you. And I've had Zaza on the show. I've talked to Zaza so many times. Great guy. Had him on From the Stash multiple times. Had him on Tea with P. Had a great conversation. Man of his word. And I think any breeder who's going to guarantee their genetics as they walk out the door can say things like that. Chad Westport responds, disagrees, and with valid points. Says, no, you should send them out. You should have a myriad of testers. They should all test your stuff in a bunch of different locations in a bunch of different ways. Essentially, two differing opinions, about the same thing, about testing genetics. This is growing weed, man. This is literally, let me rephrase that. There are literally a myriad of ways to grow this plant. And to think that there's just one way to do it, and then that way is the best way, I think we can all agree that those days are long behind us. We know that there are so many ways to grow this plant. And so I actually believe both men. I think you can do it both ways and be very confident with your product. So anyone who's saying that Zaza's not testing his genetics or Chad's out here making money, no, let's stop that. Stop that. Because both of those are wrong. He should be able to test he does test his genetics. And if the conversation's about money, why can't someone make money? That's a whole other conversation. So I'm very thankful that everyone involved can handle this conversation like grown adults can. And there's no issue. At least I don't believe there's an issue. And like I said, I've spoken to both parties. And both guys are really good men. And I think you can have differing opinions, get along, and share your experiences with others and not feel guilty that either A, you don't do it the other way, or B, you don't know how to do it the other way. Because guess what? I'll be straight with you. I don't know how to do it anyway. I don't know how to do it either way. And I'll be straight even further. When it comes to my grow, that's my grow. Shout out to Shane. That's my grow. So it's like, I don't know how to do it any other way. If you incorporate hydro, organics, any nutrient other than bottled nutrients, they're pretty straightforward. Stash blend, even easier, man. But I don't know. I have no idea. And in fact, I don't really care. But it's not a shame. It shouldn't be a shame. I've got a mission. I'm doing a thing that I think if I share to others, they could benefit from and maybe share with someone that they love. And that's okay. That's okay. So huge shout out to both those dudes for having an opinion, disagreeing, and moving on, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Zaza said something very important. He doesn't care what anyone else is doing. But more importantly, why should anybody care what he's doing? If you have nothing to do with me, and I have nothing to do with you, and I'm not hurting you, and you're not hurting me, why should I care? It's okay to have an opinion, but that's where it ends. That's where it ends. He's not hurting me. I'm not hurting him. He's not hurting him. Him not hurting he. How? But it was a wonderful conversation. But if you're new here to Tea with P, I want you to know that this is a conversation that goes both ways. I like to give my opinion about everything. I know very little, but have an opinion of everything, on everything. And I want to hear your opinion, because there's so many ways to skin the cat. Does anybody skin cats? If you're skinning cats, actually, did you see the Netflix movie Don't Fuck with Cats?
No, you told me not to watch it.
Don't watch it, but it's a really good movie. It's a good movie. It's really good. She doesn't want to watch it.
You've asked me that like 3 times since you
good.
told me not to watch it.
You should watch it. Just with the covers. It's not even that bad. It's more about the mind fuck of it all. But that's my opinion. That's the story, and I'm curious what you think. If you want to have a direct conversation with me, and you don't want to head over to Patreon, you're going to head over to my Twitter X, @Pigeons420. Hit me up. Just tag me in there, man. I'm bitching at YouTube all the time. You'll catch me out in the town square yelling, chucking rocks at the village. in the Twitterverse. I actually called out YouTube today because it's been a year and a half and I still haven't heard anything about my damn play button. I shared on my Twitter so many different pictures of screenshots of the emails upon emails upon emails upon emails, and I could keep going because this is a year and a half of getting emails every week telling me, oh, hi, my name is Roger, and I've reviewed your account and I'm passing you off to my colleagues. Hi, I'm Tim. I'm taking over for Roger. I've reviewed your account and I'm sending it up for further review. Hi, I'm Shalina, and I'm sending in for Tim, and I want to know. Oh my God. And it's been a year and a half of that. Called them out, got the same AI reported response. It's going to take them forever to figure it out. I just want an answer, man. I got a play button. I meet the criteria from YouTube for a play button. And a lot of people ask, why does it matter? You know what? It does. It does. It does. It's one of those things where it's like getting employee of the month at your job. Until you get it, you don't really care. You're like, it doesn't matter. Employee of the month, they don't care about me. And then you get it, and you're like, fuck yeah. Yeah, yeah, fuck you, Ted. Yep, fuck you. Yep, Sheila, forget it. Hi. What should I wear for the photo? And that's really how I feel about the play button. It's a badge of honor. It's a milestone. It's an accomplishment. So I would really like to enjoy that, but I don't. So moving on. You can follow me on Twitter if you want to come along for those bitchin' sessions as well. But as you guys all know, I titled the title of today's stream something very important, and I want it to be known, as I want many things to be known, I guess. Like you say that all the time. I'm going to share good stories, bad stories, and anything in between. I'm not here to overlook particular stories because they don't, or they interfere with the plant or my initiative to perpetuate the plant, which I do. I do want to perpetuate the plant, but I don't want to be ignorant to its side effects. Well, mainstream media, and it seems that it's kind of spreading and the story seems to hold some weight. Mainstream media is suggesting that daily use linked to high risk of certain cancers. Okay? From New York, using Canna daily for years may rise the overall risk of head and neck cancers 3 to 5-fold, according to a new study that analyzed millions of medical records. Our research shows that people who use Canna, particularly those with a Canna use disorder, are significantly more likely to develop head and neck cancers compared to those who do not use, said senior study author Dr. Niels Kokot, a professor of clinical otolaryngology, head and neck surgery at the Keck School of Medicine at the University of Southern California in Los Angeles. I would hate to run into that guy at the nightclub. Hi, I'm Pigeons. I make adult films on the internet. Hi, I'm Niels Kokot, professor of the clinical otolaryngology, head and neck surgery at the Keck School of Medicine. I'll see ya. Hi, I'm Pigeons. So anyways, cannabis use disorder is diagnosed when a person has 2 or more of such symptoms as craving weed, becoming tolerant to its effects, using more than intended, using even though it causes problems in life, using it in high-risk situations, experiencing withdrawal, and being unable to quit, according to the U.S. Centers of Disease Control of Prevention. Now, take it for what take it for what it's worth when it's coming from the government, because they're very trustworthy. You can take them for everything they say face value. While our study did not differentiate between methods of canna consumption, cannabis is most commonly consumed by smoking. Kokot said in an email, the association we found likely pertains mainly to smoking canna. Very, very interesting story, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to read more, I've got the link. You can read in the chat. It's from abc7newyork.com. It's kind of surprising to me that we'd have these kind of results. However, when you tell me that it pertains primarily to smoking, then I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because we should all be pretty aware that smoking anything is bad for your health. The carcinogens, the combustion that happens, and the things that you inhale is bad. There's no other way about it. The benefits of, I would argue, might not outweigh the risks of smoking this plant. It's a reality that I don't like to even face myself, but every single doctor I've had, and I've had a few, because I do go to the doctor, and I encourage all men that are over 30 to go to your doctor regularly, okay? It's very important, guys. Don't be ignorant about your health. You're taking care of your family. Who's taking care of you? Okay? Go to the hospital. Get checkups regularly. Get a doctor that you can talk to openly and trust. I know it's difficult, but it's important. And every single doctor I've had has not told me to quit. They've all told me that I need to find an alternative method to consume. And at first I was like, yeah, okay. And I was ignorant because I was in maybe like my mid to late 20s. And believe it or not, I am over 18. I didn't want to admit it. I was reluctant because it's great. It's beneficial. However, we know already that the benefits of vaping, or rather using something like the vape, whatever, I'm thinking of the company name and I can't think of the product. What the vape Vana, the rubies, there's a name for it.
Corkscrew?
The corkscrew, that's the name of the product itself. But there's devices out there. Yeah, the corkscrew is what I'm thinking of. Thank you. There's devices out there that make inhalation or consumption so much better. And I'm not even going to say that vaping is the right answer either, because I feel like we're so young and novice in the research that understanding these is really difficult. So nonetheless, that's the story. That's my opinion. If you have something you want to add on that, let me know. Let me know. What the heck? Scott Peters, most outrageous defense claims.
I don't know. You had it up here.
Oh, this was not a story. My bad.
Okay.
Oh, that's okay. We'll skip that one. Curious what everyone kind of thinks about that one, okay? Kind of curious what you guys all think about that one. I know it's a tough one to swallow, so where do you guys sit? Where do you guys sit in regards to our plant, inhalation, combustion? I guess smoking is the best way to say it. And do you also think about this? Because I'll be honest with you, I do. I'm trying to think about long term. I'm 37, 37, 36.
37.
Damn it. I'm 37, and the reality is that I take care of my family. I need to take care of myself, and I don't want to, while utilizing the benefits of this plant, do more damage to myself. That's not my intention. And I don't think any of us want to do that. So if we can get clear and concise answers in regards to what's the best way to consume, that would be enjoyable. But we need to find legalization to a point where it's like we can get real testing done on the plant, not just from a couple producers or from synthetic product. We need real science on real product. Now, did you know that Mr. Snoop Dogg angered some people, particularly Muslims, that's what the story says, by stinking out an entire floor of a 5-star London hotel days before he left the Olympics? Dun, dun, dun. Pigeons, why does this even matter? What? A story about a man smoking weed? Smoking weed? Come on, this is important to me. It turns out American rapper and Olympic sideline reporter Snoop Dogg, sideline reporter Calvin Brodus Jr. has been accused of using a Class B drug in London, which is said that Snoop Dogg smoked some weed. Which is to say that Calvin Jr. has been accused of using a Class B rapper and Olympic sideline reporter. Oh, both of them? Oh, he was blazing with a sideline reporter. I misread that when I was like, oh.
No.
What? Calvin?
Isn't that his real name?
No. I don't know what Snoop's real name is.
100% it is.
But that's not how it reads.
No, because he is an American rapper and he was the sideline.
Is that his real name?
Snoop Dogg, real name. Yeah.
Oh, that is his name?
Yeah.
Oh, so they're referring to him as a sideline reporter.
That's essentially what he was doing.
Okay, I guess. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
And then they
so I read it right the first time.
And then they narrow it down to, which is to say that he smoked
first
weed.
name is. I don't care what Snoop Dogg's first name is. It's kind of like the thing is pigeons. People are like, "What's your name?" I'm like, "Pigeons." Okay. So that makes sense.
Yes, you read it right the first time.
Okay,
yes.
So he was smoking weed. I'm glad we established that. The real story here is that Calvin Brodus Jr. is Snoop Dogg.
Which apparently everybody in your chat already knew.
Oh, of course they did. Of course they do. I'm not as cultured as nearly most of everyone in my chat. Okay? How P this slow? I am pretty slow. Okay, and the Lord knows how delayed the chat could be too. So
Well, and names. Names are not his strong suit.
that's not true at all.
It's very true.
That's not true at all. I am like
Okay.
I'm like, who's got a really good memory? I'm like a guy with a really good memory. Moving right along. Oh yeah, so the story was that he angered some folks. I guess it's Muslim folks at the hotel.
Yeah.
So while that's hardly news in America, in the United Kingdom, that's an issue because the sentence holds up to 5 years in prison. Did he get out of there? Did he escape? Snoop and his guests allegedly stunk up a Mandarin hotel south of Hyde Park in London, which several Muslim guests went ballistic over the powerful aroma wafting through the century-old building. Sounds like a blessing to me. A serenade? Can you call it that? Can you call it a serenade? Or is that rude?
Serenade?
Yeah, when you serenade someone, when I sing?
Sure.
No? Okay.
No.
Anyways, folks, that's the real news, okay? Snoop Dogg smoking weed, getting in trouble. Don't smoke weed in a Mandarin hotel in France. Or in the UK. So, massive recall. I wanted to include this because we're constantly talking about recalls in California and statewide. A lot of people ask me, and I'll address this in a moment. A lot of people ask me, yo, Pigeons, you're Canadian. Why do you talk about American politics, American news? Folks, if you're new here, I talk about international news. I talk about international issues. But it is very important to understand, and I want you to clip it and ship it, baby, because I get this comment a lot. You're Canadian. Why do you talk about American politics? Why do you talk about America? The reality is that America's pretty damn sweet. And right underneath Canada, 2 best nations in the world. The reality is that America's influence on the international stage is, shall we say, massive. Not only does America have a brilliant military, they also have incredible influence on the arts stage, whether that's Hollywood, whether that's music, whether you name it. They have an incredible amount of influence. And when they start making waves, when it's in the space of our plant, that's got my attention, Brody. And I want to talk about it. Because wait a second, yeah, it is legal in Canada, and that's a whole other conversation. However, we have a load of progress to make in regards to still seeing full legalization across the entire country. So many restrictions exist. When America makes a move, the world makes a move. That's why people keep their attention on America. And I hate to be an asshole, but America pays attention to everybody else's damn business. Why can't we pay attention to yours? Okay, that's the nicest way I can say it. I just don't understand why I can't have an opinion about something. Opinions hurt people, and they shouldn't. They shouldn't. So I want to make that very clear. America's a pretty sweet country. We're going to talk about it. Okay? So, however, things happen in Canada too, and there was a mass extracts recall due to high concentration of THC. Health Canada has published an expanded recall for products Canna extract products sold by iNaturally Organic Inc. due to incorrect values on the product's labels. Now, guess what that issue is? Recall due to a high concentration of THC. Won't somebody please think of the children? The recall applies to more than 17,000 units of Emprise CBN plus CBD soft gels, New Leaf Naturals full spectrum hemp multi-cannabinoid oil, and soft gels, and Ultra Plus multi-cannabinoid oil and soft gels sold in British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, and the Yukon from December 22 to July 24. According to Health Canada, the products contain higher concentrations of THC and the intoxicating cannabinoid hexahydrocannabinol than the product labels indicate. So I guess the big deal is here, other than I can't pronounce some of the most well-used words in my industry, is that you have CBD products that are containing far too much THC. That, okay, it does make sense. I sure hope they're not going to burn it, because if it's got too much THC, label it as it is, ship it. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing worse than seeing grocery stores and all these food joints that just throw quality food out because it just doesn't get used. It's like, oh, can't we donate it or something? I'll take it. I'll take it. But anyways, just keep that in mind, guys. Great reason to grow your own, and great reason to understand where you're getting your genetics from, because there's still lots of questions that exist whether or not it is your own genetics or somebody else's, because you don't really know what you're getting. So make sure you're getting from quality sources, and that's gonna help keep the homework down a little bit. Shout out to Seedsman for being a sponsor. Check them out. If you do check out Seedsman, use promo code Pigeons420. It's gonna help you for a few dollars off at checkout. It can also help support the show. But that's the story, and that's my opinion. But of course, I want to hear from you. I'm gonna skip this one, and I'm going to move to this one. Shout out to Mr. Grow It for sharing this story over on his Twitter. Make sure if you're trying to get the latest, whether you're trying to avoid it or not, Twitter/X, it's going to be a place to be for Canna Nudes and Canna Entertainment. There's tons going on over there. A lot of great communities, a lot of great conversations, beautiful plants, and I think you guys will love what's going on. So go check out the Twitter space in regards to, I know it's X, but it's hard to have that conversation. So make sure you go check that out. But make sure you check out Mr. Grow It too, at Mr. Grow It. I'm following him, so if there's a bunch of impersonator accounts, it's the one that I'm following. So I have this story, but it didn't load for me, so I'm going to have a hard time trying to pull this one off, because it's a reader's document or something. I don't know what it is. Maybe I can... Okay, so... man finds invasive larvae inside Miracle Grow. Yeah. You want to play that?
I was gonna say there's a video.
Yeah, that we'll let it rock. This is gonna be my side co-host anchor company that we don't pay a whole lot for. So go ahead.
An invasive beetle multiplies in a bag of mulch. As Eddie Dowd explains, where it came from, that's unclear, but it is another sign that the bugs are spreading.
A Pearl City man says it was on Sunday when he was opening his Miracle Grow garden soil when he discovered 50 live CRB larvae. This former military man asks us to call him Joe and to hide his identity, since he says he bought the bag with the larva from the Naval Exchange in April.
This was all one bag.
Oh, I should have watched that.
That was all just one bag.
Mulch, compost, and green waste are the larva's happy place. In 4 to 6 months, they turn into a tree-killing pest.
I've heard about it, and I've seen the damage it's done. For around here, we haven't had any damage or anything like that.
We contacted Miracle Grow, and the company said the bag was shipped to Hawaii from either California or Illinois, but the state says the beetles haven't been detected on the continental U.S. Joe says the Department of Agriculture told him the larva could have gotten into the bag once he took it home. All they need is a pencil-sized hole, but Joe thinks these holes are too small.
How did it happen? Whether it just laying out in the open and something comes in there and inserts it, or where did it come from?
AG officials also tell us a team inspected the Naval Exchange's garden center and found no current infestation.
It could have been worse, because had the bags at the retail location been infested and spread all over the even further into the state, that's the biggest fear we have.
That fear has been increasing since the bugs first turned up in Hawaii in 2013. State officials say CRBs have become so widespread in Hawaii, the federal government is now shifting its resources to keep them from reaching the continental U.S. Meantime, Hawaii officials are working to keep it from getting worse in the islands.
The whole message about see something, say something was really internalized by this gentleman, and we appreciate it, because by him seeing something and saying something, it got our plant quarantine staff out to the Navy Exchange this morning.
Don't just take the bags, open them up, and just throw the dirt into your planter. Make sure you go through it and check for sure, even if it's Miracle Grow.
Eddie Dowd, Hawaii News Now.
Amen to that,
First
partner.
responders are...
Amen to that, partner. That's, we do perpetuate the idea that you should grow your own. But hey, when you grow your own, there are realities to having bad... There's just a reality to it, that there might be something negative in your mix. In this case, this is why you want to get stuff from quality sources. I understand that it's a lot easier for some of us to go to Walmart, to go to Lowe's, to go to wherever to get your stuff from. And there's no problem with that. Just make sure it's clean. Give it a sift through. Now it's like, if it can get through a pencil hole, I don't think that there's really any way that you're gonna find it. Like, yeah, you could sift through your stuff and make sure, but if it's getting through a pencil hole, chances are you're not going to find it through a basic sifting process. Do you know what I mean? I would be curious kind of how that can get avoided, whether or not you can sterilize your stuff, but that's a reality. I buy new soil every month, and I'm not going to sift through all my stuff. That's crazy. However, being vigilant as I'm filling up the pots, that is very important. That's very important. So that is something that I think that we should definitely learn from. But that was absolutely gross, and I'm thankful that I don't have to look at it again. But have you guys ever experienced an issue with that when you're buying product from the store and it's been infested with something? Have you ever had a problem with that? I'm curious because I have a feeling this is probably more widespread than we think. Maybe. Let me know. But shout out to that guy. He did make some very valid points. Check your stuff. Check your sources. Try to be clean. But wow, what a scare, man. Absolutely nasty, guys. At the top of the hour, in about 3 minutes, we're going to be talking to the man himself, Mr. Chris from Swank Genetics. He doesn't know it, but Swank Genetics has been involved in every single one of the Tea with P episodes. Yeah, he doesn't know, but it has. Right there. The Swank collection, baby. Right there. And we're going to be diving into that and so much more, because this man's an absolute delight, and I can't wait to dive into things. But before I do, I'm going to have a hoot. And I'm going to take this as an opportunity for you guys to let me know what you are smoking on. And while I'm having a hoot, I'll take a glance over at the chat. If there's a question that I can bang off, let me know. I got 120 seconds.
There was one that asked, does cannabis even grow in Miracle Grow?
Yep, it's a good question. Does it grow in Miracle Grow? The answer is yes. Of course it will. Believe it or not, Miracle Grow was the go-to for people in the 80s, the early 90s, even before that, and a little bit later, to get quality products. It was one of the only companies that was really had a formula that was remotely close to feeding plants all on their own. Time-release nutrients based on water. It actually works really well. And there's an argument in regards to how much and when those nutrients get dispersed. But if Miracle Grow wasn't owned by the devil, they would probably be still like one of the biggest names and a great solution for many growers. So yeah, Miracle Grow has and does have, or had and does have, a place. And it's just unfortunate that it's just owned by Scots.
I feel
That's
like
the biggest thing.
Didn't you use it in your very, very
Oh
first
yeah,
grow?
oh yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I used it in my very first grow, and I had pretty good success. One of my largest yields for a very long time was in a Miracle Grow container, soil, or potting mix, if you will. And I was very thankful for that. And so it has a place, but I learned quick that I could dial things in. Guys, without further ado, I think it's only time that we jump ourselves into a great conversation with a great man. Let's do it.
Come on and lift your glass. You won your own free pass to be
All right. There we go. My man. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, we are sitting down with a good friend of mine, someone who I've grown to adore a lot over the years. Met him first at I'll make him fix it. At High Rollers Jiu-Jitsu headquarters competition, and let's just say it was the rest is history. Chris from Swank Genetics, bro, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Let's go. Yeah, I can, bro. I can, man. Real quick, can you turn your phone so it's horizontal? Because then you're gonna blow up my screen. Look.
Is that better?
Yeah. Boom. That's perfect, bro. That's perfect.
For some reason I can't see myself. I can only see you, so I just don't.
Oh, did I turn the camera? Oh, here. Let me turn this back on so you can. Maybe turn. It might mess it up. Turn.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I don't need to see me. As long as you can see me, I'm good.
Yeah, you can hear me great, and that's all. And that's the conversation. I do have a video on, but I don't know if what we did in the back shut it off. But
all good, bro.
But yeah, Mrs. P is
as long as I'm center of your frame, because I can't see if I'm center or not. As long as I'm good,
are perfect. You look perfect.
My man.
You look great. Chris, thank you so much for joining me tonight on Tea with P, man. Chris from Swank Genetics. If you could, real quick, can you let everybody know just a little bit who you are and what's your game?
Yeah, my name is Chris. I have a company called Swank Genetics, as well as Iron Bay Hash, which is like a subsidiary solventless hash company that's tied to it. We breed genetics, and we focus on trying to bring a new age approach to a very old practice of growing cannabis.
Yeah, man. I have to admit, when we first ran into each other in Vegas at the High Rollers Jiu-Jitsu, your passion for what you do is second to none. And
I appreciate that.
This is honestly why it was like, it's so fun to talk to you, because it's like, not only do you love what you do, you love life, you're so enthusiastic, and man, this is why I wanted to sit down and chat with you, because dude, you're such
I appreciate that, bro, and vice versa. I mean, we talk for hours. We say this every single time we get on a podcast. I mean, that first introduction, we talk for hours.
Every time. At least now, if you'll notice, Chris, we're the same size here, bro. You see what I did there?
I mean, listen, I'm always your size, bro. I'm never big, I promise you.
You're a big heart, bro. Man, so right out of the gate, man, I want to dive into one of the biggest things. When I was in Vegas, this might have been like the second time you introduced me to Iron Bay, and bro, the flavor and the oh my god, the smell from man, it was something unrivaled. You single-handedly converted me into a GMO guy.
Wow, that's what's up, man.
Man, I ended up running into Eric Nugshots. He grows GMO as well, and bro, just you know you have GMO when you have GMO, because once I had yours, bro, it was unbelievable just how much I was captivated by that smell and the taste, and it's just the high was relentless, man. So I'm gonna thank you first of all, because man, I'm now, when people ask me what's your number one go-to, I'm like, it's GMO. I'll take a little bit of hot tropic or some Bundy, or you hit me with it, man. So yeah, shout out to you. I'm Bay, man, doing concentrates. How'd you get into that, bro?
Honestly, man, the whole market shifted. I mean, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't because the market shifted. I would say the market corrected, for lack of a better term, and it just, every so many years, the new thing comes into the space and it pushes out the old thing. So when solventless kind of started hitting the market in a major way, and I started seeing, BHO numbers go down and distillate numbers go down and shatter numbers go down and crumble and batter and all the varieties that you can make with BHO, when all of that kind of started to tank, and it just got to a point where it's like, well, I'm not putting out any less quality, but I'm being forced to sell it at a lower ticket. that was like my cue to get out. So it was really just out of necessity.
Can appreciate that. 100%. You gotta go. You gotta hustle.
I can't
man.
hear you. Oh, there you go.
Oh, you got it. Yeah, you gotta hustle, man. You gotta hustle, and it's.
Yeah.
I think it was only inevitable for that game to come tumbling down because it was built on, well, at least here, like here in Canada, like I don't. Did you ever hear of Fido?
No, I'm not familiar.
Okay, it was a Canadian thing. It was shatter. Essentially, they were like the first to do shatter in Canada, and it took off. Everyone had these green packages of shatter, and it was the go-to.
Gotcha.
And it was pretty much everyone would find it and then do 1 gram dabs. That was really back in the day. That's what the 1 gram.
On the legal market or in the underground?
Underground.
Gotcha.
Yeah. They honestly, I don't even know if they made it to the legal market. That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting.
Most of them don't, man.
No, I know you're right. It's cutthroat, bro. You would know.
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta be. You've got to be. I don't know. I feel like you got to really focus on you, and you treading the fat, trying to hone in what would be the right direction. It was smart. People don't do that. I feel they find something they're passionate about, but then they just head down the whole time, bulldoze through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of people too. Like, there's obviously the saying of like, oh, find your passion and do your passion. And that's fine, but if you can't make a living with your passion too, and it doesn't mean that every passion has to be a thing that's going to generate you major revenue, but it's definitely a bonus if you can turn your passion into the thing that also generates the way you eat. I feel like that's something where a lot of people will think they're passionate about something, and they are until it comes time where that passion is affecting their life because they're choosing to keep it a passion and not make it more than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I totally get it. And it's kind of like a dream to be able to turn your passion into your hustle, man. And
yeah, it's not easy to do, but for those that can do it, that's the most rewarding thing in life.
100%.
Waking up every day and actually doing what you love, I feel like that's everybody's dream. It doesn't matter where you're from or who you are.
No, you're totally right. You're 100% right, man. And it's like, it's something that I will never take for granted. I'm going to take full advantage of it, but I will never take it for granted because it's like, I remember the hustle, man. I remember the 9 to 5. Yeah. I know what it's like to bust my ass on a 110-degree day and sweat on a rooftop and, work with my hands. Yeah. It's like, no, like that is hard work. That is hard work, labor work. There's so many jobs, nurse job. It's just like to be able to work for yourself. It's so rewarding but it's tough because there's discipline.
Yeah.
Tons of discipline. It's kind of like growing, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Growing definitely takes discipline to do it right.
You, sir, you're like a man of a million projects. What are you working on right now that you're willing to dabble into?
I mean, honestly, I've spent the last probably almost 2 years at this point, essentially only breeding, and we haven't put out flower into the market in quite some time. A little bit of GMO here and there, just because, like you, I mean, we were blessed to have people really, truly want the GMO, which honestly, bro, was a shock to me because I got that cut gifted to me at a time where nobody in the country wanted GMO. And then when we grew it and it came out how it came out, the response was way, way crazier than I thought it would be. So, but broadly speaking, I more or less wanted to take myself out of the rat race, if you will, of trying to compete with a dying market. I think that cannabis on either side, whether you're legacy market or in the legal market, is a very tough game right now. And I definitely think that people wanting to compete in the legal, especially on the legal side, people wanting to compete for essentially the least important thing about cannabis, which is the THC content. And then if you don't have a high enough, your prices is X. And if you do have it, your prices, everything's a fixed price essentially now. And that's just so not indicative of what cannabis is about. There's nothing that's fixed about cannabis. Every time you grow even the same genetic, it's going to have variance, let alone when you grow different genetics. So there's nothing fixed about the plant. So why is it that there's a fixed price point based off of a fixed parameter that literally is the least important aspect of cannabis? So at some point, it just started frustrating me, and I wasn't willing to drop my price on my flower. I wasn't willing to degrade my brand. I wasn't willing to bow down to a whole bunch of, Chads and Brads that don't know jack shit about nothing. So instead I was like, all right, we're going to breed and we're going to focus on breeding. And I'd rather sell quality genetics and I'd rather take the time to strength test everything. I mean, I saw the podcast that you guys did the other day with, what was it, Exotic? Was it Exotic, I believe?
Zaza Genetics.
Yeah, Zaza. Sorry, I don't want to misspeak. Yeah,
Nope,
Zaza.
yep, Zaza.
That dude seemed, I had never heard of him before you guys did that podcast, and I listened to that whole podcast, and he seems like a really smart dude. You know what I mean? So, like, totally 100%. I kind of didn't want to be in that, so I just decided to take his approach. And that's just try to find really good genetics and figure out what works. And then I'd rather be the person offering genetics to the people that still want to race to the bottom, as opposed to being one of the ones racing to the bottom.
I feel you, man.
And plus with genetics, it's federally legal, with moving seeds, it's legal. With having a tissue culture company, it's legal. All of these things don't require the scrutiny that most cannabis industries have when you try to tie yourself directly to the plant in one form or another. So, it's just in a million ways, it made sense for me to focus on breeding.
Man, I could listen to you speak, bro, forever, man. The way that's the passion right there. What I'm talking about. You are the definite. You and your kind. Because I don't want to just sound like I'm pulling your chain the whole time. It's like people. You represent the craft blend, the real craft blend. Someone who doesn't give a shit about the market. I say that lightly because of course you have to, but doesn't give a shit about the market, doesn't give a shit about opinion, is passionate about what they believe in and is willing to bulldoze through to get to the finish line. And I think you made the right choice, if I may, what do I know, by finding that one cut and honing in on it and and working it and figuring it and breeding it. And I think that's the way to go, rather than to take on, at least to try to take on the trend. Because if you try to take on what's hot, I feel like you'll never get good. You'll never get good because you're just constantly just chasing whatever's
trending.
Exactly. And it's like, if you look at what's trending over the course of the last 5 years, it's been high THC, pretty flower. It doesn't have to have much. It doesn't have to taste like anything. It can come out of the bag like cardboard. But if it's got high THC, people are getting high. I would argue most of it's placebo, but that's it's another thing. But I would say that's starting to switch. And if you've got people like yourself that are working on something consistently. When that does make the switch to people who want that quality, that fine herb, they're coming for you. They're coming for you, and you're gonna have something.
That's what we hope, man.
Know and believe in. Yeah.
It's not easy, bro. It's an uphill battle because at the end of the day, the market is very uneducated, and you have to consciously decide: do I want to try to battle an uphill battle, or do I want to find a different way to interact with an uneducated market? And I don't even mean that in a disrespectful way. I do mean it in a disrespectful way to the dickheads that have helped make this market as uneducated as it is. Mm-hmm. But I don't mean it to the end consumer that is just listening to some influencer with a big following that knows jack shit about nothing, or some Chad or Brad that got a license because his daddy is friends with some politician somewhere and he doesn't know anything, or the million scenarios of the dickheads that push misinformation about everything from distillate to THC being the most important thing to, the list goes on, bro. It's a very piped up market based on what is going to generate the most revenue for the people that have the most to gain in that given thing. And unfortunately, it's such a grind trying to convince people that, hey, distillate isn't bad, it has its place. Hey, CRC isn't bad, it has its place. Hey, flower can be exceptional if you don't look to THC, it has its place. Hey, extracts like, solventless like hash can be exceptional if you don't look to THC and you look to terp profiles, and it can have its place. But trying to do that when people, especially in the younger generation that have came up with it not being illegal, and all they know is a legal market, so all they know is going to dispensaries and being fed what dispensaries feed them, it's very difficult it's a little easier in people that come from a legacy time like you or I, where we did have the period of pulling up in a car and meeting some dude in a parking lot and risking going to jail for like a 20 sack. You know, it's like the people that were born, you know, what, say 2000 or later, they don't, for the most part, there are still some states, but broadly speaking, you don't have that. So you have people that are only being educated from the standpoint of where a lot of the misinformation stems from.
Bro, I couldn't agree more. And honestly, I'm glad that you said that we can't blame the consumer for the most part. Mm-hmm. I would argue the exact same thing. That like when it comes to beer, bro, I don't know anything, man. And I know what tastes good and what doesn't. That's full stop. And I don't even like beer. I just drink the lightest beer that just kind of fizzes in my mouth when it goes down. And I would honestly believe that the majority of consumers feel the same way about weed. And when you went back to say that like years ago when GMO was undesired, do you have I kind of have an idea as to why, but do you know why? Like why do you think GMO wouldn't be desired? I've got a couple reasons.
It was the highest yielding genetic at that time. Arguably, when GMO was at its peak, it was the first plant. I won't say the first, but it was definitely the first plant, in my opinion, that took off because of its yield. I mean, it's very, very, very hard to find genetics that wash at a high ratio, anything above 3%. It's extremely hard to find things that wash above 5%.
Can you explain that real quick? Can you just for anyone who's listening, what do you mean by wash?
Okay, so when you make hash specifically, not BHO, not ethanol, not distillate, not any of that, when you make what people would refer to as 6-star hash, and then take that 6-star hash and refine it a step further to make rosin, the beginning to make any of that is actually taking your flour and putting it into ice and water, and you actually wash the weed in water. And what it does is it essentially makes the trichomes, which for those that don't know, the trichomes are where the majority of the essential oils of the plant live at. So basically the things that get us high or laughy or, you know, whatever, giggly, hungry, sleepy, you know, couch locked, whatever, all those different states, majority of the essential oils in the plant that cause those different feelings live inside the head of the trichome. So without going too deep into that science, you really don't necessarily need the plant matter. If you can remove the trichomes from the plant matter is essentially just a carcinogen that you don't need to burn if you can actually remove the essential oils that actually do the thing that we like about cannabis, right?
Makes sense. Yeah.
So you can wash it because cannabinoids, generally speaking, they're not soluble to water. So the trichome heads, because it's cold, they'll just break off because they become brittle. I'm sure people have seen like, you know, macro photography of trichome heads, how it's like a stalk with like a big head, kind of like a mushroom. So when you get cold enough water, those heads become brittle, just like anything that gets cold, and they actually crack off. And so you can then, through basically just a series of various bags that have different finenesses to them, you can refine and collect that hash out of the water and then throw the weed away afterwards. And so that hash that you're collecting after you throw the weed away, that's what people would refer to as 6-star hash. Not all of it, but one of those bags will end up being your quote unquote 6-star hash. And then the rest of it will be your quote unquote food grade or potentially for pens or whatever, depending on what you do with it. But yeah, so when I say wash, I mean the process of converting flour into the first step of making rosin, which is creating melt.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Or bubble hash for those that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so because I distracted you, so GMO was high yielding in regards to washing, correct?
Yeah. So like very, very few strains will hit. I mean, I've washed hundreds of genetics, and I would say probably better than 90% of them wash at 3% or less. And 3% is kind of the industry standard. And when I say 3%, it means that for every, say, 10 grams of flour that I wash, you're hoping to get 3% out of finished rosin. So I guess a better example would be like for every 100 grams of flour I wash, I'm hoping that I end up with a finished smokable 3 grams of rosin. And that's kind of how you gauge, you know, whether or not something is worth keeping or not. So in the market, 3% is kind of the baseline. It's like if it goes less than that, you're probably losing money if you have other options that would wash better. But if it's at least 3%, it's like, yeah, we can keep this around and this can be a staple, you know. So I would say 90% of what I've washed over the years is 3% or less. And I would say probably 4 or 5% breaks into the 5% range, and maybe 1% of everything I've ever tried to breed, grow, test has washed above 7%. It's not easy to do. I mean, there's plenty of people that'll claim they do it, and there's plenty of people that'll be like, yeah, we do it, but it's like, all right, cool. How many washes are you doing? Are you extracting it? Are you pressing it multiple times? Are you accounting your second press and your first press? It's like there's so many, everybody's way to get to their number of what something washes at is all different. And it's not right or wrong. It's just, unfortunately, because there's no standard to it, people will say that 3% is different for various people based on how they accumulate it. You know what I mean? Like me, when I say a percentage from our rosin, I mean that's the percentage after a first press only. And you'll always go back and second press the bags, be it to make RSO or some food grade for edibles or whatever. You're always going to second press the bags, So, but I don't count that in my measurements. I count what's going to go to the end consumer as rosin, So that's how I gauge my percentage to rosin.
Drop mic. That's fantastic, man. When it comes to, I love that. So when it comes to the GMO in particular, do you struggle with the time, like flowering time at all, or have you just figured what I like it?
Yeah.
Do you struggle with the time?
I did in the beginning, because it is. I like to take it usually to at least 12 weeks, sometimes 13. And so yeah, in the beginning, because the stretch is insane. For me, it stretches. If I flip that flower at say 2 feet tall, it's going to be a 10 or 11 foot plant by the time it's done stretching. So GMO stretch is really wild. So at least my cut, I don't know if it's like that for other people, but the cut that I was given, that it stretches. So in the beginning, yeah, it was an issue, but as things progressed, I started basically, instead of putting it in an entire room and then holding up that room for the 12 or 13 weeks it would take to finish that particular thing, I would just put it on one row of tables, you know what I mean? And I would do that in multiple rooms at different times. So say I had 4 benches, like 4 rows of benches in a room, I would put the GMO on one, and then I'd put like 3 8-week strains on the rest, you know what I mean? But I would put that GMO at different times. So like say room 1, I'd put a row at, and then 2 weeks later in room 2, I'd put a row, and then 2 weeks later in room 3, I'd put a row, and then essentially I would use all those 8 and 9 week genetics that I have to essentially just kind of keep that flow going, to keep the cash flows kind of steady. But yeah, as long as we balance it, that's where a lot of people are like, how do you grow GMO? How do you take it full term? You just have to have things to offset it. And a lot of growers are not willing to do that. They're not willing to, people are very stuck in their ways, especially with growing. Every grower thinks their way is the best. Every grower thinks they're the shit. Every grower thinks they've mastered the methodology. And I'm not the dude to sit here and tell any of them that they're wrong, because I don't believe that my way is the only way. And I think a lot of growers have a mindset where their way is the best way. And it's like, that's cool. But, I just think ultimately, if people are willing to open up their minds to rearranging how they go about harvesting their crops, you can 100% work 12 and 13 week strains into the rotation without ever seeing a lapse in harvests by just tweaking a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yep, man. Okay, so I haven't grown GMO yet. If I'm not mistaken, you hooked us up with, or no, I retract that statement. I wanted to discuss case because I asked why GMO tapered off, or people weren't interested in it, and I might have misunderstood. But was your response because it yields?
Well, I think we went on a
much?
side tangent.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so finish that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm the one that distracted you, for the record. So finish your
No,
thought.
you're good, bros. So yeah, to go back to that, to just answer that for you. The reason why I believe it tapered off is because the yield was so high, bro. Like when Skunk House is the ones that bred that, when Skunk House dropped that to the world, I mean, that was game changing. Like now all of a sudden you have people that are growing 4-lighters that are used to making 20 or 30 grand on their 4-lighter, and they're making almost 80K off of 4 lights. You know what I mean? Like I know that sounds impossible, but it's not. Not with GMO, like, and not accounting for everything. That's accounting for your first press, your second press, washing the ever loving shit out of that weed till there's nothing left. But if you go that far, like 4 to 6 lights, people were making twice to 3 times what they were making growing flower or rosin of any other genetic. So when it hit the market, I just think it took off, and the cuts started getting sold for insane amounts of money, and then eventually it kind of got oversaturated because it was the money maker. It did the same thing Blue Dream did for flower. I mean, the reason everybody wanted Blue Dream back in the day is because that plant would hit 3-4 pounds. You know what I mean? Like outdoor, it would do massive numbers, and indoor, it was a 3 or 4 pounder, depending on how you set up your canopy. But I just think naturally it weaned itself off because it did what any genetic does that has some exceptional trait exceptional trait that people want, is that it eventually hit the masses, got shared with everybody under the sun, and literally every single hash maker overnight, really like over the course of a couple of years, but overnight. Oh, you can't hear me?
No, you're good. No, sorry, you're good. No, you're good.
Oh, okay. But yeah, like every hash maker essentially overnight had it. So I just think it tapered off really fast because you hit up any hash maker around 2021, 2022, and everybody had GMO on their menu. And every hash maker that was sought after by anybody had a GMO on their menu. And so I just think it just that's it. I mean, just the massive yields that it had, and the fact that it spread like wildfire as soon as people caught wind of that, and that was it.
Okay, I get it. No, I tripped you out there because I thought I could hear you coming from another place, which doesn't happen often when we have too much audio. So yeah, no, I'm glad you said that. Okay, no, that makes sense. I actually thought, and GMO's newer than this, so I'm glad you had said that. I was actually under the impression that because it stank so damn much, that's kind of why it kind of fell off. Because I got to be honest with you, I love it, for the record, but yeah. I think the average, it's so stanky. It's so like, it's GMO, bro. It's like oniony, kind of like garlicky, gassy, skunky. It's like the armpit meets the foot, and it's like, I love
a bum's foot, not just a regular foot. Bum's foot.
Oh, it's so wet. But you're right, and I think the thing is I thought I would have figured the average person wouldn't want that because they're thinking, ew,
yeah,
that's weed.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I will say this: as rosin got more popular, people started being able to experience smells and tastes that they've never experienced before. And so I think maybe GMO was also familiar to people. It's like people smell GMO. Because here's the thing, like with rosin, you're usually dealing with the living plant. And so a living plant's profile is completely different than a cured and dried plant's profile. And even labs will reflect that. If you test fresh frozen and look at its cannabinoid profile, and then you test that same plant 3 weeks later after it's been dried out, the whole profile of the plant's going to change. So that being said, the smell changes, the taste changes, the high changes, everything changes. So I think that GMO is very reminiscent of what a cured and dried flower smells like in that pungentness of it. You could always, it's not that it smells like this, but in the sake of, if you want to compare it to flower, people could crack that jar and go, damn, that smells very raunchy or gassy, like a sour diesel or like a headband or like an Alaskan thunderfuck. Or not that it really smells like those, but that it has that pungentness to it. Yep. That's reminiscent and familiar to people to go, oh, that's weed. You know what I mean? Whereas when people started washing other genetics like papayas and things of that nature, those plants would also smell like weed if you cured them and dried them. Not that they wouldn't still smell sweet, but they would also take on more of a natural plant smell and aroma and taste and high. Versus when you harvest it live, papayas have a really true papaya nose to them. And syrups have a very syrupy nose to them. And just things that like strawberries and straw nanas and bananas, banana OGs, banana gods, like all these different things, they all have live a much sweeter profile to them. And so because people, I think, never experienced that with flower, generally speaking, not a lot of flower will finish out being as sweet as it is when it's alive. they got hit with so much more flavor than they're used to, and so much more of an aroma than they're used to. That's so different from what they're used to. Because until rosin, nobody was ever really smoking live. Yes, there was live BHO, but the majority of the people that did live BHO were honestly lying about it. Most of them, I mean, we can get into that later, but the science behind doing live BHO, the amount of water that's in that product, you're essentially, for every, say, 10 pounds that you're processing through BHO when it's fresh frozen, you're really only processing like 1.5 pounds or 2 pounds, because the rest of that's water weight that's just taking up volume. So then you have people saying that we've got live, BHO going for $10 or $20. No, you don't. It's not possible. Like, you can't process enough live where it's worth it to sell it that cheap. So I think even when people thought they were smoking a lot of live BHO or live branded products, they're not. Whereas with rosin, there's no mistaking it. You cannot make cured rosin look like live rosin, generally speaking. So I think because of that, I think the fact that the market got hip to the fact that it's like, damn, like rosin can smell really crazy and really good. That's probably another reason that played into GMO like fading out. Is the long and short of me circling back around to that.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair, man. And like I said, like I'm surprised. I'm surprised that I would be surprised if actually I'm not surprised that people are gonna love this, like love it, because I'm all over the place because I'm trying to think of where people were versus where we're going. I do believe that no, it really didn't have a place back in the day, and then we only need to talk like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or maybe that's when it was hot, or could have been hot. When did GMO? We're talking probably
no GMO really blew up in probably around like 2018, 19.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
It may have been around longer than that, but
I was going to say 20. I was going to say it was like 15, but not blew up.
Exactly.
You're right. No, you're right. Blew up is it? Yeah, you're right. In 18, 19, 20. You're right.
And I'm not sure that that's fact, but I would say probably the timeline is right around like 18, 19, probably through like 21, 22. It had probably like a solid maybe 2 years, or I wouldn't say 3, probably like a solid 2 years, maybe 3, where it really had the market by hold, and every single hash maker was producing something with GMO in it.
Yeah. Okay. I absolutely love GMO, and I honestly, hearing you discuss like taking it and doing what you've done to it and working with it, like that makes me so excited. Like that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. I want to find something and run it. You've done more. You've done more than GMO, yes?
Oh yeah, a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at this point now with these breeding projects, most of my rooms will have between 40 and 100 genetics that I'm hitting with one male that I've selected. So it's like, so far we've done like, it's basically all my staples. So I think we spoke on this at the other podcast briefly, but I take I don't know if it's different or not. I would assume it is, because most people, like Za, like, he was saying, like, I like to stress test. I like to know exactly what my genetics going to do before I breed with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I respect that approach. And I agree with the end result of that methodology, which is that you're doing that to make sure that the end consumer that's going to pop those seeds isn't going to have anything undesirable. So from an end result standpoint, I agree. But how we get there, I feel like there's multiple ways you can do it. So my approach to breeding is that when I pop seeds, right? Say I buy seeds from people, or now at this point, thank God we were at a point where we can just pop our own F1s and kind of go through our own populations. But say I still want to find something that's hotter in the market, and I reach out to, whoever may have that hot thing that's in the market, be it Oni or, who knows, whoever's hot, DNA or Humble Seed Company, circle back around to them. You know what I mean? Like it could be so many people that have a hot thing that took off. It's like, cool, we'll get those seeds. I'll actually pop all of those seeds, and I won't sift through the populations and select. I'll take notes on all the different variants and all the different phenos I see within that genome. And then I'll just essentially, from that first seed, without stress testing, without doing any of that, I have a rough nutrient feed where I'll just kind of have everything at a happy median. And what I'll do is I'll just populate. I'll select a male. We have several males that we have. and I'll select a male, I'll grow it, I'll put it into the room with all of those seedlings that I don't know any data on whatsoever, and I'll actually pollinate that very first round. And the reason I do that is because I believe that the best representation of the plant, where it's going to have the least issues, obviously no insects because it's brand new, no molds, no pesticides, no nothing. I mean, it's not going to have any, ideally in a perfect world, no viral diseases, no hop, no nothing, So it's like I'm getting the best representation of that plant because it's just starting its life for the first time. So I'd rather pollinate with that best representation of the plant. And obviously I don't know exactly the feed that plant's going to want, so maybe in a big enough population of a say a 15 light room where I have hundreds of genetics in it, yeah, sure, some may brown out, some may yellow out, but if the medium of the population and the average of the population is doing fine, then I don't care about the outliers. I'll just make notes of that to circle back around at a later time. And so what it allows me to do is get essentially, on one plant, you can get anywhere from 1,500 to 5, 6, 7,000 seeds, depending on how long you let them veg out. So it's like, that's plenty of seeds where I can hunt for the rest of my life and never worry about it, right? And so I'll just do the single plants. And then in doing so, I'm able to get basically the flowering time, roughly. I'm able to get a good profile on the nose. I'm able to get a good profile on how the trichomes look. Is there potential for washing, or is it too oily, and would it be better for BHO? Are the buds dense? Are they small? Is it airy? What's the node spacing like? How long is the veg time? Does it veg well? Does it grow well? So I can get so many data points aside from how it smokes. That's basically the only data point I can't get. So because it's full of seeds. So then what I'll do is I'll have all these notes that we'll make of every single one of these seed starts. And then being that we have the tissue culture going, I'm able to just suspend these in tissue culture and then wait, and we can circle back around. And obviously these seeds will never hit the market until we can circle back around to that given thing where it's like, hey, in my notes, this one hit all the markers. Let's try to put this in a room, run it out under a couple of lights, get enough where we can actually do a full wash or do a full run for flower or do a full run for BHO or whatever. Let's just get enough where we can test this particular genetic, and then we'll put that one genetic into multiple rooms under different stresses. One will be in an ideal situation, so we can just kind of get the rest of the data we're missing and grow it right. And then maybe another room, we tweak the temperatures. Maybe another room, we tweak the humidity. Maybe another room, we tweak the how intense the fan speed is and see if any of that's going to hurt the flower. So it's like we can do the stress testing after the fact, but I'd rather get the seeds off of that first plant when it first sprouts as a seed. And I don't know if that's right or wrong. Like, again, by now, bro, I'm not to do the claims to be the GOAT of anything. I just do it my own way, and whether it makes sense to people or not, I could really give a shit.
And that's exactly what I admire about you, bro. And then honestly, that was the exact same thing that I admire about Zaza Genetics as well. He's not claiming to think his ways any better than anyone else's. He thinks his way is important, and he has the ways to back it up. And I think that's fantastic. I think there's so many ways to grow this plant, and who gives it? Don't worry about it. I love what you're doing, man, and I appreciate someone that's willing to test the water with 2 feet, because we can stand around and listen, and we can take orders from someone else and say or hear, okay, yeah, it's deep, it's hard, don't do it, or we can just do it ourselves. Jump in, figure it out, and that's what I like. Sometimes you're gonna fail, sometimes you're gonna achieve. And Imbe has certainly achieved, bro. And honestly, I could sit and talk about genetics the whole damn time, but I also want to talk about on my show. I've had the Swank collection in every single episode, bro, that we've been live. Many people don't know this, but on the desk of my show, I have the dab tools.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Hell yeah.
And man, I absolutely love them. These are gorgeous, bro. So, this is something that you and your dad are doing. Your dad made these? You and your dad?
Yeah, so my dad makes every single tool, man. I have nothing to do with the creative side of it. I mean, I design the boxes and all the stuff after the fact, but all as far as how they come out and everything, that's 100% my pops, man. And he's 75 years old and doesn't even dab. He smokes weed, but he can't dab at his age. He's been smoking cigarettes for like 70 years, so he doesn't have the lungs to dab. But yeah, he literally has never took not one dab in his life, and all of those are 100% his ideas.
Well, you know, it's because he believes in his son, and he knows his son is onto something, and is willing to dedicate his time and his energy to that. Man, I don't even need to know much then, but I know your dad's a great guy. Then I'm sure you're blessed to have him. And this is where can people get Swank tools?
So we were working on a website, and we have one of the. I'll just skip all of that. We had a cliche story that a lot of people have, where we paid a dude to develop a website for us, and then he ended up basically just taking the money and giving us a really shit product in the end. And as people can tell, if you just look at our Instagrams, like I put a lot of care and thought into how we brand and present our companies to the world. So it didn't work. So for now, if people are interested in the tools, they can definitely just go to @Swank Tools. SWANK Tools @Swank Tools on Instagram. Shoot us a DM. I can show you a selection, like a one. Basically, my dad does sets, so like he'll do an epoxy pour and then put in certain types of wood or whatever he wants to do for whatever he's thinking that day. And usually we'll get anywhere between like 8 to 14 tools per set, and every single one will be different. It'll just have the same pour epoxy tone to it or whatever. But every tool will be shaped different or whatever. So yeah, I can basically send anybody that's interested like one of each set to give them an idea of what the set looks like. And then they can just let us know, and we can take care of it all in the DMs.
Wow. That's pretty sweet, man. That's pretty sweet. I got to be honest with you, man. When we were at the Airbnb in Vegas, you pulled up, and this might have been the time you forgot the torch. I can't remember. Brought the gear, everything, but forgot the torch. We're not gonna highlight that. It doesn't even matter. We'll edit that out. The power of Hollywood. But you stopped by, bro, and you handed us this box, which I think is just beautiful, and I'm so appreciative of it.
Thank you.
Which was a huge extension of what I thought was friendship from you to me, and I really appreciated that. So thank you. Then,
100%, bro.
like that wasn't enough. You also presented me with like 10 freaking grams of freshly washed. I had Hot Tropic, I had Bundy, I had the Hunt × 2, maybe 3. I might have taken more than I needed. And I can't remember if there was another one. But oh my gosh, this is some of the most this is where all my praise comes from, because somehow I can't believe it. I found it in Canada. And it magically Mrs. P.
That's wild. International, baby.
It's international. Congratulations. It is so good, man. It's like you ever had a really good meal, and then you have like a dessert, and you like eat it just corner by corner by corner by corner. That's how I'm taking these dabs, bro. I get so many. Awesome, let's have a dab, bro. Let's have a dab. I'm like, I'm sure I got something else around here. Let me see. Let me smell the Imbe. Perfect. There's got to be something else around here. That's how it is, bro. That's how it is every time.
I appreciate that.
It was the most I had ever been given. It was absolutely crazy. Then, I think it wasn't that trip. It was the next trip. We went and had some Korean. Is that what it was?
Japanese.
Yeah,
Japanero.
Oh, bro, and you frequent that place
often. Which you guys ended up treating me to that, so thank you guys.
It was the least, of course. I was very jealous. Mrs. P was very jealous. But
next time you got to come, Mrs. P.
I will.
She's coming. She's coming next time for sure. Okay. I was texting her, and she was like trying to be happy for me, but like I could sense the anger in her.
Pictures of all the stuff.
She's like, "Don't send me this. Don't send me this." Yeah. It was breaking bread, and it was honestly, it was a great moment in time. It was a beautiful restaurant. Yeah. You go there all the time?
Yeah.
You know the owner?
I do know the owner. I'm not friends with the owner. I mean, I would say maybe now we're friends, because I mean, I've definitely paid a power bill or two in that place, but yeah, he's a good dude. I know the whole staff, and I became friends with 2 of the staff members. We go out every now and again and grab drinks and stuff. So yeah, it's like that place is like a second home when it comes to a restaurant.
What's the name of it again?
Japanero.
I knew it. Japanero. So if you're in the Vegas area, and Rob is Rob is in the chat actually, and he says it's the best. And my boy has got a poverty palate, bro. Like he does not like anything.
Yo, when he said that night, that had me dying.
He ain't
bro.
joking. He ain't joking. Even the littlest
Oh, that
bit.
had me dying, bro. He's good for the one-liners, bro.
Oh, he's the best, bro. That's my G, man. I love that guy, man. And when we get us all in the same room together, man, it is such a good time, man. You sure know how to fire up a huge dab too, G.
You know what's crazy, bro, is that like I genuinely don't do that to flex. It's to the point now where I've like and I don't even mean this as a joke. I genuinely think I have a problem because there's not a person I give dabs to that doesn't feel uncomfortable with the dab. And I'm just like, and I'm like, dude, like I'm not showing off. I'm not flexing. I'm just like, yo, this is how I dab. And then I'll dab like that, and I'll dab like that all day, every day. And people are like, oh, you really do just give out dabs like this. It's like, yeah, bro. Like I want everybody, you know, the dudes that taught me how to grow, you know, I'd even shout him out. His name's Asa. He's the one that taught me how to grow back in the day, and that's a story for another time. But when I first went on his farm, you know, he wakes me up at like, I don't know, 6:30 in the morning or 6 in the morning, and he started this day. I mean, at this point, I had never seen a living plant. I was just a hustler, like trying to middleman my way out of mediocrity, right? And so, like, I had never seen a living plant. I go live on his farm to become him, basically. And first day, we wake up at 6 a.m. He's got an attic. We go up there. He's got all these like dab rigs with these e-nails on them, and they're all fired up. And he's just got jars and jars of BHO. And this is probably like 2014 or something. And he's just like, yo, we'll start the day and just dab after dab after dab. And I'm like, dude, I'm passing out, bro. I'm unconscious right now, bro. I can't work. You want me to work? I can't work. You're out of your fucking mind if you think I'm going to work right now, bro. And then he hands me a pile of weed and just says, start breaking it up and rolling. And then I'm rolling these little pinner-ass blunts. Back then, I didn't even smoke joints. It was all blunts. I'm rolling these little pinner-ass blunts. And then he's like, what are you doing? And then he rolls one, and he's, you know, big cannons. And I'm just like, bro, like, you really do this? And then after living on his farm for like 6 to 8 months, that's every day. Every day these dudes were smoking QPs of flower between him and all his crew, rolling up 5, 6, 7 gram joints and taking endless amounts of dabs. And then after a while, like, he's just like, bro, this is why we do it. We do it because, like, this is the benefit of it. Share it, bro. Share it with everybody around you. If you love that person and they're in your circle, give it to them. Don't ever charge them. Share it with everybody. Like, yes. And that's one thing that from Asa, like, I take I took it to heart. You know what I mean? It's true, bro, because we are in a unique position. Up to that point when I met him, I had been doing my thing for a decade, trying to trap and get out of the rat race. You know what I mean? And and I had never experienced anything like that. You know, and it's just like, it's not. And most people, it was in that moment I realized most people never will. Most people will never be around all those plants where you could just smoke whatever you want and do whatever you want and treat it like it's just a means to feed your family, you know, and nothing more, nothing less, like, and just love the plant for the plant. People always have to love the plant based on their bank account and how much money they have to spend. So when you get to the other side of it and you can grow it for yourself, like you very well know, it's the most rewarding thing in the world to just be able to share it with people, you know? So
right, bro.
It's like there's a time and place to make money off of it, but it's not off of your friends, bro. You know, share it with the whole world.
Amen, man. You know, it's funny. This is why we connect so well, bro. I had a really, really good friend. Rest in peace to my buddy B.D. McGee. Maybe that was a little personal, but he passed away to a fentanyl overdose. That is irrelevant, but I wanted to mention it. But he taught me the exact same thing, bro. I used to be a selfish little bastard. You know, it's cutthroat out there, man. I didn't have a family. I was homeless very early on. I was addicted to drugs really early on. So it was cutthroat. It was me against the world, right? So I met him, and as I was getting a little bit older, he had settled down. He had a house, and he used to host parties. And I hadn't got to that point in my life yet where I was hosting people. And he used to tell me that, and not just tell me, I used to go there, and he would take up or he would take like a Tupperware container, like a sandwich container, and he would grind up all his weed. Not all. He would grind up a bunch of weed.
Yeah.
And he would put it in the container, and he would host a party, and he would put the container in the middle of the table and just say, "Help yourself." Yeah. And to me, back then, I thought that was fucking crazy, bro. I was like, don't people come up and just smoke it all in one hoot? Don't they just put it in their pockets and walk away? He's like, no, bro. Believe it or not, the most that anyone has ever smoked, or the most I've lost is like a quarter of weed. Because no one's gonna, if you're associating with the right people, I suppose anyway, that's a huge thing too. But that nature of giving has completely changed, or not changed, but it laid out how I host people now. I do the exact same thing. I put out a bunch of weed on the table, different kinds. I put out a bunch of different pieces, big and small. And I'm just like, help yourself. Help yourself. Pack your own bowl, because I do the same thing as you, bro. I pack a hoot the size of Montana, and then I hand it to somebody. And I'm like, here, smoke this. And then they feel obligated to smoke it, right? And then I'm like, and then I kill them. I've like, and you've done this to my friends before. You've killed my friends before. I was there. I was in the same room. You know, and then I feel responsible. I feel guilty. I'm like, fuck, I killed my friends. They're passed out on the couch. You know, it's like I feel pretty bad about it. And so I thought, you know what? I'm gonna put out an array of equipment on the table, small pipes, big bongs, and I try not to look. When someone takes a hoot, it's like almost when someone's eating. I try not to stare at them. I look away.
Bro, on a side note, I love that you call a bong a hoot or a bowl pack, or I'm assuming you're referring to like a bowl pack.
Yeah, a bowl pack.
Is that a Canadian thing?
You know what? It's funny, bro. It's like so many people have asked me, did you create that word? I did not. And I've asked people in America, my audience, if they've heard of it, and they say yes. So it must be like maybe, So it must be like a UP, maybe like an Upper Peninsula thing, some close to the border. I'm not sure.
Maybe people from Minnesota.
The Minnesotans. Yeah, Minnesotans with a hoot.
Maybe people from Minnesota.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I didn't poll where in America. I didn't. Yo, what was there? You got a dark day? Yeah. So man, it's that spirit of giving. That's what I love the most. I think that's what we were still talking about. That spirit of giving, and that's what the plan is all about, bro. It's like
it is, bro.
Putting it out. Don't charge your friends.
Thing, bro.
Their money is like I honestly feel like your money, bro, is my money. I don't want your money because you're hustling. I guess that could have came off. I want all your money, bro. No, that's yeah, right. It's like I honestly feel like if I've got a business and stuff, I'm not trying to make money off of you. There's an entire market out there that I want to try to utilize, right? I don't know what the right word is, but it's like, no, making money off of friends and family, that's such a small pool to try to hone in on. Obviously support is different, but no.
Yeah, now when you're first starting your business, I mean, obviously it's cool to lean on your friends and family. Those should be the first people that are there to support you.
Of course.
But on the flip side of it, once you get up and going and you have the ability to, then you should.
100%.
Sure.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree, man. And that's what this plan is all about, man.
Yeah, man, 100%. It sucks because that's a very small. That's a fleeting mindset, bro. This next generation down, because it's almost wild to say this, bro, but because they don't have a tie to the underground, and because they've never had to buy a sack illegally, and because they've never experienced, for the most part, the true aspects of this culture that make us, make stoners, make hippies when it comes to the plant specifically, like. It's the sharing, it's the caring, it's the experience, it's the unity, it's the family, it's the getting together and laughing over absolutely nothing whatsoever and having really dumb stoner talks that are the greatest thing ever when you're stoned. You know what I mean? It's like that is dying off because, again, the younger generation, they didn't have to do any of that. They literally just walk into a dispensary. They've never had to meet a plug. They've never had to negotiate a deal. They've never had to pick up something on the low key or hide it from their parents. All of that, I mean, I don't care how this sounds, all of that builds character that I believe this culture needs. And unfortunately, it's going away. And, I'm trying to do my best to continue to practice that, you know what I mean? And try to be like, keep that torch burning of of what it's really about, bro. You know, it shouldn't all be about the bread. There's so much money to be made in cannabis, which means there should be so much that you can give away and share with anybody you love and care about. You know what I mean? It shouldn't even be a thing. It shouldn't even be a bleep on the radar, no matter what you want to do with it.
I get it, man. I totally agree. And bro, I don't know which generation it was. I don't, like, as someone who had almost 0 to nothing in regards to parental guidance, I want to blame the generation before me. This is where this is where the handshake died. This is where talking to someone face to face, looking a man in the eye and understanding his intentions, that's died. That's died.
It's all died. People can't even make eye contact anymore.
No. And especially,
they look at you like you're weird for wanting to make eye contact with them.
Right. Yes.
Like, what, bro?
Yeah. I you know what? I'm not gonna sit and point fingers. Who knows where it died? But the reality is that I do believe it still exists. I had this conversation on a stream just the other day. It's like, this is the fundamentals of being a man.
Yep.
Being a man, to be able to shake the hand of another man or woman, of a business partner or another human being, to shake their hand and to give them your full confidence to complete whatever task or to have their back or whatever it is. There is still a very small amount of people, and maybe it's the majority, but it's always the vocal minority that gets the most clout. But it's like, that is the fundamentals of being a man. Handshakes, giving somebody your word and standing behind it, and admitting when you're wrong. That's a tough one, I'll admit. But, it's something you got to do. And I do believe that, I don't believe it's dead. I just believe that that's not what rules the mainstream, if you will.
Yeah. And I think partially, the old heads that are, I would say the new age old heads, it's going to take people that, like the dudes that taught me, like Asa. And I mean, he does, bro. Like, I haven't talked to Asa or seen Asa in almost 10 years. Maybe it's actually been 10 years, honestly. It has been 10 years. Like, fuck, it might have been 11 years, honestly. But, I mean, and I can tell you 100% that's all that dude's still doing, for sure. I don't need to know where he's at or his endeavors. Like, for sure, if that dude's still in cannabis, which he is, he's giving it out, bro. And it's just like, it takes people like him, and it takes people like Fields from Skittles, and it takes all these dudes that really, I mean, for better or for worse, put on for the scene at one point or another. It takes them wanting to not be all for profit. You know what I mean? And it's tough, bro, because the more we get into the legal side of the game, it's a lot of blind money. It's a lot of Chads and Brads, and it's a lot of just ignorance. And it's not. I don't even think it's all with malice. I just think that there's a lot of misconceptions with how people can generate money through cannabis. And because of that, once people fall into the trap of believing people that at their word, for whatever it may be pertaining to this plant, and then they end up millions of dollars in the hole, like, now things begin to happen with malice when that was never initially the intent. And so now you have an industry where people like me will broadly make fun of the industry by labeling the industry filled with Chads and Brads. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's only because I don't think the Chads and Brads initially had malice intent, but when you get screwed over and you're millions in the hole or tens of millions, or some of these MSOs, hundreds of millions in the hole, it's like, you're going to start doing things to figure it out. You're going to figure out how to cheat metric, and you're going to figure out how to cheat the state. You're going to figure out how to not pay tax. You're going to figure out how to cut corners, because you have to. You have no way to survive if you don't. And so we're in a really weird time, man, where it's difficult for people to make the change, for whatever that means for them. And so I just feel like it's just again, going back to how we started this conversation, is the uphill battle worth it, And I feel like there needs to be people that are willing to say yes, because right now I feel like a lot of the real ones are finally getting to a point where they're just saying no, and they're going to other avenues. They're, going whatever. They're just getting out of the quote unquote rat race, like I said, because unfortunately it's very depressing when you're somebody like you or I or Rob or Chris or Za, you know what I mean? Where it's like, we really do care about this shit, bro. Like, we really are about it. And And so when that gets diminished down to, but what's your THC percentage? I literally just want to choke them. Like, I want to watch the life leave their body, bro. And I don't even care how that sounds. It's the most disheartening, disingenuous, fake bullshit that's being pushed to people about cannabis.
And to
And
be
then you
clear,
have all the buyers being like, well, what's your THC number, man? Like,
to be clear, you're talking about the tops saying that shit, not the consumer.
Yeah.
These are the people,
No,
the
it's never
Chads and the
consumer.
Brads. Chads and the Brads.
Yeah. And that's why I say is like, and I'd like to try to say that I really don't think that all of this was started with malice. I just think that it ended up that way. You know what I mean? Because after so many lies and so much manipulation and so much debt that people have acquired, they have to get out of the hole. They have to. And once you get back into a big enough corner, you will do anything. And hence how we get to the current state of the market in Oklahoma, in Colorado, in Nevada, in any legal state. There's states sitting on product. Almost every state is sitting on excess product right now because there's no market for it, because it's a race to the bottom and people want to pay less and less and less and less. Dispensaries want to pay less and less and less. And then here's the fucked up part is that they want to pay less but then charge the same. So ultimately what the dispensaries are saying is that we're going to bottleneck you. And it doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter the brand you have. It doesn't matter the reputation you have. We're your only way to get it to the end consumer. So we're going to make you take less money, but then guess what? We're still charging the end consumer the same amount. So the retail side of this has a monopoly on the game that the states don't even realize they implemented by giving them the power to dictate price and giving them the power to be the only way that the product could get into the end consumer's hand. So it's just a really fucked up game. And I know you'll have to bleep out the language, but
I won't.
It just is what it is.
Nah, this is T with P, bro. We don't care here. We just don't care here.
No.
Which is wonderful. Yeah, it's different than my other shows. Bro, okay, I can totally appreciate that, man. Like, we're seeing a shift though now. Okay, so hold on. So it's still filled with Chads and Brads because money talks. Money talks. Money dominated the first few years of legalization in this industry. Still does. I'm not going to say money won't dominate, but I've said it many times that there's an underground craft community, a passion that still exists, a fire that burns, and you're a representation of that. And we'll see that supersede this money game of Chads and Brads. But we're just, my next question, do you see it?
I lost audio.
Did you lose audio on me?
No, on him.
Oh, I still got his audio. Yeah. I would say that I have to really think on that question. I don't know that I'm seeing the shift. I honestly don't think that. I'm really trying to actually think about that. I think that the shift that I'm starting to see is not so much the industry fixing issues, but the investors getting hip to the fact that the industry isn't. And so I think that, no, I don't think that there's a shift, because at the end of the day, unfortunately, the biggest players in this game right now don't come from the culture. They come from VC firms. They come from private investors. They come from money, where like all they care about is cash flows and bottom line. Like, how much money in? Where's my money out? How long will it take? What's the return? So when you deal with people like that, I don't necessarily think that it matters if there's a shift happening in the market, because until those people are the minority and not the majority, it's going to be a very difficult thing, because they don't care about the culture whatsoever. They don't have to care about the culture. They just have to care about the bottom line. They're investors. And unfortunately, that's who largely controls the legal market, is investors that could give a fuck less about a cannabis cup or an emerald cup or any award from anywhere for any reason. It's just what's your THC numbers. So, yeah, I would say no. Oh, really? Oh, Oh, I mean, honestly, bro. So for those that didn't hear
What keeps you
him,
motivated?
yeah, for those that didn't hear him, he just asked me what keeps me motivated. The this, bro, everything we've been talking about. I mean, I know it's a vague answer, but honestly, what keeps me motivated is everything we've been talking about. The fact that I think there is a big gap in the market that's going to be difficult to fill, but if we can figure out how to fill it, I mean, my God, that's such an untapped resource. So, I think the lack of education, where again, though it's very difficult to try to correct that because you're battling dispensaries and a generation of people that only know dispensaries, so they trust their bud tender. Where it's not that I even think the bud tender is doing anything bad; it's that the bud tender is being told by whoever's teaching the bud tender, and usually that person doesn't know shit. So I think largely my motivation comes from trying my best, like you, bro, until you had my GMO or the Iron Bay, and I do not mean this in a cocky way whatsoever, but most people that have any of my products, the rosin or the flower, most people that have it genuinely have an awe about it. And that to me is crazy, bro, because the dudes that taught me what I know are way better at doing this stuff than me. And there's no awes given to them. You know what I mean? So I just think that, no, bro, the fact that I still get awes when to me I'm not any better or worse than anybody that cares like I care, like it's a bit frustrating. So I feel like that's what keeps me motivated, bro, is the fact that, as crazy as it sounds, I kind of want to get to a place where I don't get the awes. I want to get to a place where it's just the standard. And unfortunately, we're so far from that, where for my benefit, people still have the awe effect when they see my product. But for the benefit of the bigger picture and the country and cannabis as a whole, nah, bro, I think it's a bad thing that 10 out of 10 people that will see my rosin will literally bug out, or see my flower will bug out. But I didn't even know that this could happen. And it's like, bro, that's not good, because I can show you 100 growers in the underground that do it as good or better than me, bro. I'm not some goat. I'm just a dude that cares about the plant like so many other do. But those people don't exist in the legal market because of the Chads and Brads. So it's like, I feel like that's what keeps me motivated, bro. As crazy as it sounds, I want to get to a point where there is no awe factor when you see my stuff, because my stuff is the standard.
Bro, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. And man, I can appreciate that. And that's why I honestly connect with you, because you're honest, and you and I connect because I preach the exact same thing. I don't know, in my opinion, anything. I've figured out what works for me. I've figured out what I like, what satisfies my family and the people around me. And I take that as a pretty good indicator that something's right. I'm going to hone in on it. And
100%.
That's 100% the way to go. And there is a shift. Thank you, first of all, for handling that. My mic died, but I couldn't figure out what it was that the issue was. So I ran all the way upstairs, got the other micro, or a hub for my phone micro, and tried to plug it in via extension cord, and then realized I had the other mic just charging the whole time right there. I just plugged it in.
I'll be honest, bro. That's pretty impressive. The fact that you ran up a flight of steps and you're not out of breath, I would still be out of breath if I ran up a flight of steps, bro.
Well,
it's pretty fucking good.
Okay. Yep. I'll take all that credit I can, because I'm out of shape too. Yeah, it's that dad work. It's that dad effort that kicks in after a while.
Well, if you ever need an ego boost, let me come to your house. I'll run up the same flight of steps. You can look over at me and then look at yourself, and you'll think you're all right.
No, I definitely don't, man. I definitely don't need an ego boost. Self-delusion. I was actually watching Joe Rogan and Adam Sandler. I'm not sure if you caught that, but wow.
Not the whole thing, but I watched like 30 minutes of it.
Oh my God. Adam Sandler is a huge legend. And it just, like, self-delusion is huge. Thinking you're the best will get you a long way. And
he's another example of a dude that put on everybody he loves. That dude put on every single person he loves, bro.
Yes, he did, man. And there's something to be said about that, bro. Chris, man, honestly, you got to come back. You got to come back. I don't want to take too much of your time, man. It's been over an hour. I honestly think, I know you and I have talked for hours and hours and hours and hours and shot the shit. And you've served me some huge dabs. I swallowed them and carried on, and it was fantastic. And they were some of the best dabs I've ever had. So, Chris, thank you for that, man. And thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being a badass son of a gun. Thank you for your passion. And thank you for believing in this plant and the community, bro. It's huge, man.
I appreciate that all, bro.
Breed. Dying breed.
I appreciate that, and thank you for having a platform like this to be able to try to get people out there like me to hopefully make some impact, bro. You're doing your thing, man. You and Rob and Chris, like you three coming together is probably one of the best things that could have happened for this community, in my opinion, bro.
Man,
you guys are just you're a very the culture needs you guys for sure.
I'm very humbled to hear that. Thank you very much, man. Rob and Chris are absolute legends, and I feel the same way riding their coattails. So thank you. Thank you for saying that. Chris, real quick, if anyone wanted to reach out to you or get in contact in any way or follow for the latest, where would they get a hold of you?
So yeah, we only have Instagram. There's literally, and just so I can make this extremely clear, we only have 4 accounts. There's no other duplicates. There's no Discords. There's no Telegrams. There's no social media of any kind. There's 4 Instagram accounts. There's no websites. There's no nothing. So like, I can't stress enough. If they want to talk to me about flower and here's the thing to anybody that's watching, I'm an open book. I don't hide my nutrients. I don't hide how I grow. I don't hide my methodologies. I don't hide my whys. I don't hide anything. So by all means, if you just want to be better at what you do, for whatever that's worth, if you think my way may work for you, DM me. Those are the DMs I'll respond to. There's plenty of people that have been trying to get my DMs for 6-7 years and I don't respond because we don't trap online whatsoever. So it's like, hit me up. Those are the DMs I respond to. So if you want to talk flower, hit up Swank Genetics at Instagram. If you want to talk about glass, hit up the Swank collection. If you want those tools that he just showed you, Swank tools. And if you want to talk Iron Bay, it's Iron Bay Hash. So those are the only 4 accounts. That's it. And you'll never find anything else anywhere else. There is no Telegrams. Like the amount of DMs I get, oh, what's your Telegram? I hate that shit. So like, I appreciate it. And genuinely to everybody that asked me for that, thank you. It means a lot that you do want to tap in, but we don't tap in like that. And I mean that. I'm not one dude that says it and then has one. We don't have one. We don't tap in like that.
Bro, solid, man. You have so many gems, man. I could talk and I could go on and on and on, but YouTube's retention and attention span is just like mine. It's very short, so we have to do this in episodes. We have to do this in segments.
Yeah, bro.
Chris, thank you so much. This was a legendary conversation and an epic one for the show. Thank you for being a part of it. And bro, we're gonna be kicking it in like less than a month, bro. You're coming to LA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Fucking
We're
right,
coming to LA,
bro.
and also Iron Bay's coming to LA too. So we will have dabs, not for sale, but I promise you, any one of your guys' people that wants to dab, we will have it all on deck for you guys.
I know a guy or two and a gal or two. Mama Kush is known to dab. Mama, okay. But Chris, thank you so much, Animal. I appreciate you, bro. I can't wait to meet up with you, man. And make sure everyone goes checks him out because this is a man who's going to drop solid information anytime you talk to him. So, Chris, thank you. Thank you, man. Have yourself a great night, bro.
You as well, brother. Much love.
Thanks, man. Peace.
Later, bro.
Wow. Chris from Swank Genetics. That... I didn't want to end it. I got to be honest with you. I didn't want to end it, but both busy guys, and I don't want to take too much of his time. That was epic. I'm going to be getting down with that guy in LA in less than a month. It's got to be probably the biggest thing. I'm the most excited about it, aside from seeing the boys from the Growers Gauntlet. So, man, shout out to Chris. Shout out to everything he's got going on. That's my boy. That's my friend. And I strongly encourage you to check out his Instagram and the Swank Tools, because why not support a family father-son operation that's inspired by his son? To me, that's it's more than I got, man. I'm very envious of that. And shout out to all the good dads out there. Gene's one of them. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a wonderful conversation here on Tea with Pete. I want to take a moment and just give a shout out to everybody who was in the chat for the whole conversation. Thank you guys for being so kind and courteous. You guys are wicked. There was a little bit of negativity. I ain't got time for that. Pigeons fly high, bro, so we don't see the shit below. So give a shout out to everyone who's flying high with us. Shout out to the flock. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for supporting me. Shout out to my patrons, man. That's what really means the world to me. People that are just like, yo, thank you. We believe in you. And that means the world to me. If you are here tonight through this whole conversation and through this whole show, I want to see you in the chat. I was here. I want to see you in the chat. I was here the whole episode. And I see all your names. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys. You guys are the real ones. I consider you part of the flock, and it means the world to me to have you guys with me. Shout out to these that supported me over on Patreon, patreon.com/pigeons420. Tons of content over there if you're interested. I show my plants, I show my gardens, everything I got growing on. It's always a great time. So if you guys want to check that out, you want to help support the show, patreon.com/pigeons420. As with any and all shows, my friends, I want to end the show with a community highlight. It's going to take her a sec, but here we go. Community highlights. Well, that was good. Well, there it is. That's today's community highlight. Boom! In your face. Shout out to Deuce Farms. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy right here not only has a wicked channel full of quality content, he knows how to grow some wicked plants, but he's a pretty cool dude. And in certain corners of the internet, you would think that we are still beefing with each other. But that couldn't be farther from the truth. Got no beef with this guy whatsoever. This guy's awesome. If you guys don't know, back a few months ago, there was a hot take that was taken by a Instagram user, and that Instagram user actually called out Dusa by name, and I made a statement to which was taken incorrectly, and I tried to defend Dusa, but it didn't sound all that great. And through the help of my good friends and business partners, we came to the conclusion that it was ill-framed, and so I needed to reach out to Dusa and kind of state my cause. And we sat down and we had a conversation, and we made it very clear both of our opinions, and to me, that's where the conversation ends. He talked a bunch of shit about me on a video, which was totally called for. I'm a grown-ass man. I can handle a little roast, and it was hilarious, and I think he had every right to speak as he did. However, we hashed it out. It was a good conversation. I stated my side. He stated his. And it's water under the bridge. And I'm very excited to say that him and I are going to be partying hard in LA this upcoming month. But I wanted to send the best flockers over to his channel. Hit that subscribe button. Oh, I just spilled beer on my somehow over here on my microphone. He recently purchased a brand new camera, the DJI, and it is a wicked piece of equipment. I think it's going to up his game huge, and I can't wait to see the content that he's going to lay forward. So huge shout out to my boy Dusa, and I'm super stoked to see you in LA, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Tea with P. Every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Central, where the tea is beer and the P is me and the dreams are free. I'm here with you weekly. We're going to talk about all things nudes, culture, science, health, you name it. Nothing is off the table here because I want to celebrate our community in all forms and fashion. And the best way to do that is to start the conversation. And this is my channel, and I'm going to do just that. Thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Huge shout out to Mrs. P, producer P, on the ones and twos, doing an epic job. I thought she did fantastic. That's my wife. Great job, girl. Huge shout out to Chris from Swank Genetics. That was an epic conversation. I didn't want to end it, to be honest with you, but like I said, he had places to be. I got places to be. It's all good. And for me, probably going to be gaming over on twitch.tv/pigeons420. But if gaming is not your thing, don't go over there. It's dark. You won't like it. It's horrible. I'm probably the greatest stoner at Call of Duty, and you don't want to witness it because I can get a little toxic. Twitch.tv/pigeons420, but you don't want to go. Okay? I stream out damn near every night. But I'm going to be getting down. Huge shout out to you guys in the chat. I appreciate your faces. Party on, y'all. There's Chad. That's my guy. Huge shout out to Chad. Appreciate you, brother. Make sure you checking him out as well. Huge shout out to Zaza for being in the chat. That's one thing I wanted to mention on the outro is a huge shout out to my colleagues. Hey? A huge shout out to my colleagues.
I seen some big damn names in this chat, and to name a few and to miss most, huge shout to Mr. Grow It, a huge shout to Zaza Genetics, a huge shout to Rob, a huge shout to Chad. Thank you guys for pulling up. You know, it's one thing to have the flock here. It's another to see my colleagues. I've been doing YouTube for a very long time. Okay, this is not my first show. And to have the support of your colleagues doesn't happen very often. And it's something that's happening more and more as the years go on. And I'm honored to be a part of it. And to see you boys and gals in my chat supporting me while also on the same hustle, I appreciate you. And I want you to know that any and all this content is free for you to use as criticism or for a video to criticize. 100%, okay? Thank you guys so much for supporting me. I'm talking to you guys out there. Thank you. I appreciate you. And to everyone else, those are my colleagues. I just really wanted to say thank you guys because, you know, we're on a very similar hustle, man. And to know that I got their support, having them come in and drop in and say hi and to bring their communities in here, it's a big thing to come in and support somebody like this. And, you know, I got a lot of controversy, got a lot of controversial opinions. A lot of people don't like. Haven't wronged many people, but a lot of people don't like me. And I'm okay with that. I can handle that because I'm not afraid of conversation. So with that being said, guys, a huge shout out to Mrs. P on the P's and Q's. A huge shout out to my patrons for supporting me at patreon.com/pigeons420. A huge shout out to you guys for being here. A huge shout out to Chris for being a part of the Tonight Show. It was epic. I think I'm done. Powered off a few of these. Guys, cheers to you. I love you. Peace.